So you guys started life in supercars as commercial partners, with Shaw and Partners in Southern Cross Truck Rentals. Just tell us a little bit, Earl, maybe you go first, mate. How did you first get into motorsport? What was your first team that you backed or driver that you backed? And just give us a little bit of background on that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've watched Bathurst since I've been 5 with my father, like all rev heads and people that are involved in it. So I'm a pretty good historian of supercars and all of the things basically on four wheels, whether it be Indy, NASCAR, F1, etc. So great passion, deep love for the sport. By pure luck, one of the other great passions I have in life is rugby league, and I'm a entrenched, die-hard Manly Warringah fan, and born and bred and brought up in Manly for the first portion of my life.
Yep.
And as 2 degrees of separation, bloody Ginger Meggs here on my left happens to be a mad Manly fan as well. So I met him at the football. That's how we became great mates.
So it wasn't through motorsport you guys met?
No.
We just happened to be at Motorsport at the same time.
Yeah, crazy.
Right.
Absolutely crazy. Met him at Manly and we become great mates. But through the commercial partners at Manly, they said, there might be this opportunity for this supercar team. And I said, oh, yeah, great, no problem. And I'd worked it out. It was Erebus, right?
Yep.
Eddie Kowinko's car. And, didn't know anything about Will Brown. And they told me all about Will. I met Barry. I took my son up and watched a race and I said, yeah, right, I'll do something. And I think it was like all these things, you start absolutely tiny, and I'm a great believer in, you want to get to know people and get to know how to. I put $15,000 and it was a little sticker on the front of the car. I thought it was like this big, but it was really this big. Yeah. And I'll tell you a funny story. It was at Bathurst. I remember they did that round at Bathurst 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago. Oh, one of the first rounds.
The 500. When they started the year there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just sent an email to all of my staff. We have 450, 500 staff around Australia. I just sent them around saying, we're just sponsoring this young kid, Will Brown. He's absolutely red hot. He's fantastic. Make sure you turn the TVs on our dealing rooms around the country and watch him. And it was literally, I kid you not, it was less than 3 minutes. And all of a sudden, I'd obviously turned away and looked somewhere else. My phone starts lighting up and Will had put it into the wall.
That's in the WD-40 car and you guys were, gotcha.
I started getting all these texts. Yeah, red hot. He's just put it in the wall. I've looked up at the screens. That can't be right.
I think he was purple though at that time in practice. He was into the wall.
He was third or something.
Yeah. Anyway, that's how it all started. Right. I built a relationship with Barry and Betty and Erebus, and that's how the whole relationship grew. Then we did the. I was sitting there and I was actually going to do a Sydney to Hobart race with a couple of mates and hire a 100-footer. And I happened to be at that same time, I noticed that there was 2 different sponsors on each car. And I actually said to Barry, and I said, just what would it cost, just stupid question, to actually put our stickers all over the car for Bathurst? And he came back and said to me, I can't remember what it was at the time, 250,000 or something. And Sydney to Hobart, Bathurst, I'm going to do that. And that's how we got the Shaw and Partners car for the Sandown race and the Bathurst race, the Shaw and Partners. And they got provisional pole on the Friday and that's how we built the relationship, basically.
One of the things I loved when I saw you join the sport was you actually supported Feel the Magic at one of the, I think it might have been the very first Bathurst where you ran the Shaw and Partners car.
That's right.
And you guys absolutely cleaned up. And I don't know if you even realised it was going to be as successful as it was because you donated, I think it was like 10 grand every like pole position, and if the team got top 10 or top 5, it would go up. And you donated a massive amount of money to Feel the Magic, which is close to my heart. But it was, my first kind of was where I became aware of you. And I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. Like,
we do. I mean, Shaw and Partners does a lot on the philanthropic side. So we like to put back into the communities we work in. And that was just, we always like to do it with our activations or partnerships in sport or business. And that was great. Yeah. Very cool.
What about yourself, mate? How did you?
Mate, I've been around motorsport forever, and it's a real funny sort of situation because like I grew up as a little kid hanging around motorbikes and motorbike racing and involved in that. Like my cousin was Australian Superbike champion. He was actually Paul Feeney's teammate for a while. So, so I grew up around motorbikes, and it's funny because I was talking to Feen at Christmas, and he said, mate, my son now hangs around the pits, and he says, I remember when you were a little little red-headed kid hanging around the pits back in all those days. And I did. And obviously I'd left, sort of got out of motorsport because of my career and different things that I did. And after I retired, like I was in the police, I retired from the police. After I retired from the police, I wanted to get back into motorsport in some way. And obviously, I mean, I'm actually schoolmates with Pete Adderton. So Pete and I have known each other forever, and Pete spoke to me, and you know, it was all just really coincidental. But you know, I'd met Earl, and Pete had asked me to get behind Brodie Kostecki and at Erebus. Now I didn't really know Erebus from a bar of soap, to be honest with you, but Pete was backing Brodie and backing the car, and so I got on board with that. And you know, when obviously I was on the other car, and yeah, it all just sort of come together, and mate, as the years went on, and you know, look, we'll talk a little bit more about it, you know, about how it sort of ended, but to begin with, and how it all started, mate, very, very accommodating. You know, Shannon, your partner, you know, like it was just amazing, you know, made you feel like a part of the team. Mate, you had a voice, you could talk, you could question things. And I think, you know, in those days, mate, that team was punching well above their weight.
Yeah.
And Brodie and Will, mate, a couple of young bulls, mate, plenty of talent. And mate, it was a really, really enjoyable time. And the guys there were amazing, like all of them, you know, the mechanics and everybody. It was a really, really good time. So I just kept, you know, renewing and increasing and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, it was all sort of going along really, really well until it wasn't.
Yeah, and what was that shift like? And what do you think, or when do you think that started to happen? Because, I mean, publicly we only really heard of it at the beginning of the year where Brodie announced he was stepping back. But when did you, or was there a point you felt like there wasn't the enjoyment anymore, or the freedom within the pit that you felt was there at the beginning?
Yeah, look, I think it was, I thought personally from the Bathurst that year, it was going downhill.
Yep, the year prior to Brodie stepping out.
Yeah, the year prior to Brodie stepping out, I thought there was certainly some angst at the time around different things. I know, you know, by the time sort of it got to the last round, there was a bit of friction.
Yep.
You know, nothing that I didn't think would be recoverable or be able to sort out and all that sort of stuff. You know, it's a high, intense sport. I think, in fairness, you know, Erebus probably found themselves in a place that they weren't so familiar with.
Yep.
It's hard, you know, you're winning and the expectation and there's pressure and, you know, and mate, you know, we had it was an unbelievable ride and journey for us, you know, Lyndon at Coke and, you know, Earl, myself and the other partners on board. Like, we met really good people. It was unreal.
Yeah.
But for me, I was in New York over New Year that night, that year, and I had dinner with Brodie. And at that stage, you know, at dinner, Brodie told me that there was some trouble and he was in doubt.
Whether he'd continue.
And I didn't, you know, and after that sort of time, I probably built up a fairly good relationship with Brode, just checking in on him and making sure, you know, he's okay.
Yep.
Mate, I did, when I got back, as soon as I got back, I did have a conversation with Baz and you know, express my view on that. But, mate, you know, it wasn't our business or our place to get involved in the dynamics of what was unfolding.
Yeah, of course.
That wasn't our place. And really we didn't know what was coming. And for me anyway, I can only speak for me, but, you know, I'd already sort of made a decision that I'm probably going to pull back and I just, that sort of solidified it for me, and I said, I'm out. And, you know, then it all just, I can't speak for the others, but, you know, it all sort of unfolded. And, mate, to be honest with you, it was pretty sad. Mate, it was very sad, to be honest, to see it all go the way it did.